Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I hope you're having a great week so far. I want to start by talking about what's going on in energy, anything happening right now. Well, the Schumann resonance out of the blue started picking up in energy again. Today, while I'm recording this, it is the 7th of July, and the Schumann was spiking up at 52 and 56. So we got two big booms in one day, and yesterday it had picked up at 40. So I'm wondering, are we climbing up that ladder of energy again? And if so, you might notice an adjustment in how you're feeling. Now, here's something I've noticed recently that's really interesting. Years ago, when I started tracking the Schumann resonance, I noticed that on the days where there were big spikes, those were the days that I felt the ascension symptoms, right? So I'd get headachy, I'd have like this headache right at my crown chakra that just would not go away. I'd get really tired. I'd have to go to sleep or take a nap, and just have this sort of like compressed feeling energy. And here's what's really interesting. In the last probably the last year or two, I've noticed it flip. So now on the high energy days, I feel like I'm more like, this is normal. This is what it should be. This feels good. And on the lower energy days, those are the days where I tend to have like my energy just feels low. So tell me in the comments, are you experiencing the same thing? Have you noticed that since you've been paying attention to? Are you shifting with the earth? Because that's what I take it as. It's like, yeah, we're shifting with the earth because this higher frequency of energy, that's really where we're going. Next thing I want to talk about is there is a new moon coming up. The new moon in Cancer is coming, and that's going to be this Friday, July 9th. So of course, you know I'm going to be hosting a spirit circle. If you would like to join our virtual ritual of doing some manifesting work, go ahead and click the link below and join us for the next new moon spirit circle. And what I'm excited about is, remember last week I talked to you about the meaning of the words disaster and catastrophe, and that meant against the stars, right? So the whole point of the spirit circles is to get the divine cosmic blueprint. What's the download? What's the universe asking from us at this time, so that we can follow it and be in the cosmic flow and experience more ease and grace in our life. So we're going with the stars and avoiding disaster and catastrophe. So I'd love it if you want to join us. Again, there's the link for you to join. All right, let's get into more information. So messages from the team. This week's message, I love it. It's all about living faith. So not just having faith, but how to live in faith. And the first thing they bring up to me is something that they gave me years ago, and it was such a good visual. I want to share it with you again. You may have heard this, but if you haven't before, take it in on a deeper level. Okay, so I want you to think about something that you really want for your life. Maybe it's a career path that you want. Maybe it's a certain amount of money. Maybe it's a place to live. Maybe it's to start a family. Maybe it's to be in a new relationship. I want you to think about that thing that you really want, and you want it so much that it's almost a little scary, right? Like, I want you to go that big that it even creates that feeling of like, oh, I really want that, but the thought of not having it almost breaks my heart. That's the energy. So that's something that you really want. And maybe right now it feels far away. Like you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to make that happen. But in order for us to get in alignment with it, what do we have to have right now? We have to have faith. Right? So I want you to think about what we typically do. And this, I was very guilty of this. And the bigger I go, of course it comes up again. I always have to remind myself of how things work, because it's kind of how it is every time you break through to a new level of being, right? That you sort of get overwhelmed by how big it feels or how different it feels, that we kind of forget we have tools that work no matter what level you're at. And so the first metaphor I want to share with you, the team gave me years ago, was about going all in energy. And what they showed me was like a craps table. I've never actually played craps, but I've watched it in enough movies that I kind of have an idea of what it looks like. They showed me this craps table, and they're like, a person who goes all in energy, they're taking every chip that they have and they are pushing it in the direction of, this is what I want. And that's what going all in energy looks like. What we tend to do, and especially if we feel intimidated by our own dreams or a little bit scared about how is this even going to happen, what people typically do is we tend to hedge our bets, right? And so this is where we split our chips and we bet against ourselves. You know, when I say it out loud, I'm like, God, why would I ever do that? Why would I ever bet against myself? But we do. Why? Because there's a part of us that that's not in it, and it wants to be right. And if we split our energy, some of it going towards what we want and some of it going towards absolutely not getting what we want, when we split our energy like that and we're right, we don't get what we want, then we feel, well, I knew that was coming. And of course, you know, at least the part of me who's practical recognized that and conserved some of the energy. And that is, you know, this is the reason why it doesn't get created. All right. So energy has to go all in to create something, because the reason why is what we believe about ourselves is what we will create. So if we don't fully believe, if we don't have faith in our own ability or our own ability to manifest, then we will make sure that we actually don't manifest it, because we can only create what we truly believe about ourselves. So it's important to watch when you're trying to manifest, when you're trying to create the next level of your life, if you are actually all in. Now, you can go all in and be terrified. There are people who do amazing things and fear is still present. They're not giving energy away to fear. See, what we don't understand is our worries and our fears, they also create outcomes. I mean, and we kind of, when I say we don't understand it, it's like we think it doesn't have as much weight. Like, we hold these worries and fears, but we're not like fully behind it. It's not like we want that. We just don't realize that by putting some of our energy there, like this thing of like, I'm just going to hold back and watch and see if this happens, right? Instead of going all the way in, because I don't want to fail. I don't want it to not come true. But by doing that, by holding back some of that energy, that's the energy being used to generate outcomes from our worries and fears. So if we split our energy, what we end up getting is a little bit of what we want, but not all of it, and some of what we don't want. And then, of course, some people in life, they have strong wants, they have strong desires, but they won't give it any energy because they're terrified that they can't have what they want. But that belief right there, you hear, I can't have what I want, that helps to create that lack energy. Having faith is important because positivity on its own is not enough. And here's why. I want to share with you why positivity alone is not enough to create what you desire, why you have to have a belief and a faith in it. Because your ego is incredibly smart. It's as smart as you, and it uses your own mind against you. So let's say you're trying to positive affirmation something into being. Like let's say it's losing a certain amount of weight, just as an example. Like, you know, I believe that I can lose weight, but in the back of your head, you got a voice going, well, you never have, and you've been trying all this time, and maybe you're just a person who can't. And so, you know, I feel like what you're saying is like kind of stupid, because sure, you could talk it into being, but I don't know. I don't think it's possible. Right? We have that voice in our head who is already disagreeing with the effort that you're trying to put in, because a part of you just doesn't believe it. It has to do with the programming and the words that we've used over and over again, the beliefs that we keep repeating. You know, there's there's a very powerful part of you that uses that energy for good, but then there's another part of you that has twisted and turned that energy, right? That's our ego, and it keeps us in pain and suffering, and it gets off on being right. And so therefore, when we try to put in that new programming, it doesn't take right away. It's like too big of a leap between the current thought process and the desired thought process. So there's some work to do there. And this is where, working with a coach or a mentor like myself really comes in handy, because you need to identify, what do you want? Now, what do you believe? Now, what's the steps in between to get from this current belief that might be holding you back towards what you want? What are the steps in between those things? Because it is a stepping scale that you're going to be working with. And I want to give you a tip right now. You really want to pay attention and listen to the affirmations that you use. So positive affirmations, they're awesome. They do work. Positive thinking does work. You need to support it with your belief system, right? So you have to get your beliefs and the things that you're programming to work together rather than against each other. So a good place to start is just listen to the way that you create positive thoughts, because your conscious mind hears it differently than your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind cannot hear negative words like can't, won't, don't, shouldn't, right? Trying to think, never. These words, they're not heard. The subconscious mind takes in everything as a prompt. And so those words sort of they just don't match. The subconscious doesn't hear negatives. It's only building from I accept. That's what the subconscious mind, I accept it all. I'm accepting it all. So when we say something like, I will never get sick again, the subconscious mind will take out the word never, and it'll hear, I will get sick again. And that's what it'll program in, right? So these, we want to listen to, or I'll never run out of money again. It'll take out never, I will run out of money again, right? Like this is what it hears. It's accepting everything except negative words. So it's interesting that our language is built that way. Like that's just a pondering. If we wanted to go deeper into contemplation, why is it that we have one language for the conscious mind that isn't correlating with our own subconscious mind? Could it be part of the control matrix? Probably is, right? Instead of saying something like, I will never get sick, or I will never lose money, or I'll never be without money again, whatever those words are, right? We want to listen to that. And we want to consider what is a purely positive statement that will be taken as it is intended by our subconscious mind. So something like, I am vibrantly healthy for the rest of my life, is a positive statement that will be heard correctly by our subconscious mind. Money comes easily to me, again and again and again. That can be heard directly by our subconscious mind. Now, what's interesting, like I said earlier, positive affirmations, you might have the intention of like, I want that. I want to have money come back to me again and again and again. I like that. And so you'll say it. Notice then, the next thing I want you to notice is, do you accept that? Do you believe it? Do you really believe it? If you're honest with yourself, is another thought coming up behind that going, well, that's wishful thinking. That Therese, she's a Pollyanna, right? Like people who talk like that, I'd be careful because life is hard and everything you've experienced so far proves you wrong, right? So there's this voice of reason that will kick in if that positive belief is actually more positive, or that positive affirmation rather is more positive than your current belief structure. So in that case, you actually have to build a staircase, in which case it depends on the subject, and it's built by looking for things that are true into your experience, that also match where you're trying to go in your positive affirmation. So now we can see a hard fact, which is if we don't give 100% of our energy to that which we want, then we are giving some of our energy to what we don't want. And therefore, we create unpleasant circumstances in our life. And we've all done it. we all do it, and we all learn. I think it's a part of the learning process of how powerful a being you are. It's the key isn't so much to stop that, but to get conscious of it and see it in action and recognize it as power anyway, right? So even when you've created something you don't want, by claiming responsibility for it and seeing that you created it, you are actually accepting your power, which is a positive step towards moving in the direction of creating what you want. So let me share with you a personal story about creating unwanted or unpleasant circumstances. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was evicted from my home. My family, we were evicted from the home that we were living in, and it was a really traumatic experience, and I don't wish it on anybody. But it also was a tremendous teacher. I was taught on such a deep level. What had happened was that we had moved into an apartment community that was like a luxury apartment community, and I loved it. We had this beautiful apartment. It was like everything I wanted. It had 2 bathrooms. It had extra bedrooms. I had my own office space. It just felt so in alignment with what I wanted. Where I was, where we were at the time, we wanted to upgrade our surroundings, and we weren't ready for a house yet. And it was beautiful, and we got in. And I remember when we got in, I was excited and freaking scared at the same time. I didn't believe that I belonged there. And I don't think my husband did either. He's never actually said those words to me, but he always nods when I bring up that base thought that I didn't believe I deserved to be there. And so every month when we had to go pay rent, I was sweating it out. And of course, every month it seemed like we had to scramble to make it happen. Interestingly enough, it's the same amount that I pay now. It's the same amount. But at the time, I had this whole worked up belief that I was somehow snuck in under the wire. I wasn't supposed to be there, and I would be found out at any minute. They were going to find out. Well, if you're holding this energy all the time, and here I am, I was straddling, I was hedging my energy. I had one foot in, how wonderful is it to be in this place, and I love it so much, and another foot in, oh my God, they're going to take it away from me at any minute. So does it really seem like a surprise that after about 5 or so months, I created a story where we got evicted? We created this together, but still, that's what happened. And at the time, I would have told you that I was doing everything I could to maintain it. And I was doing everything I could. Life circumstances kept lining up though, where at the time, I had just had my son. I was having health issues, complications from that. I couldn't work. The job that I was doing, I couldn't go to anymore because I had 2 little kids. So you can see I had created this whole circumstance where it was energy that was unsupported because not all of my energy went into it. And now looking back 8 years later, I was playing very small at that time. I was not dreaming very big. And so the eviction happened, and it was a very traumatic moment. We had been working on it. It just fell apart on us. And long story short, we ended up with 2 weeks where we were technically homeless. We were living in hotel room to hotel room. It was very surreal. It was really odd, and even during that time, we were always one night away from maybe sleeping in the car. Like that, I had to manifest money every day. But here's the interesting thing. When it all fell apart, when it all just collapsed on me, and I had nothing left but my power to create, right? Where my thoughts were going, how I was focusing on things, if I believed in myself, it was like my back was against the wall. And I'll tell you what, I started to believe harder and have more faith because what was the option to fail? So It's kind of like, I think I've heard Tony Robbins say this, that when the option is fail or die, when the option is succeed or die, most people succeed. And here's why: because you got nothing left, right? It's either this or die, or something that feels like death. But this taught me the antithesis of what I'd done. So before, when I had the place, I split my energy. Some of it was for me, some of it was against me. And it, of course, you can see, like, as time went on, more became against me because I just didn't have a strong sense of faith in myself or a belief that I was supported. When it all got taken away, all I had was a willingness to believe and faith. And that kept us afloat and in a hotel room for 2 weeks, after which we ended up getting in contact with someone who could get us into a house to move into. And we had this amazing deal. I mean, it was a miracle. I say it's nothing short of a miracle that we were able to move into that place within 2 weeks, and somebody had the compassion to want to help. I mean, I'm still grateful for that moment to this day. But, you know, it gets me to think about, and what I want to share with you is, think about this. When it comes to something big that you want, are you preparing to get it, or are you bracing for loss? Because I'll tell you, at that eviction, before I was ever taken out of that home, I was preparing to lose. I was praying for the miracle. I was praying for what I wanted, but I was preparing to lose. And I did. I lost. And the absolute pendulum swing was, there is no, in my head, it was like, you can't go lower than this, so you might as well put everything you can into it. And that moment saved me, but it taught me so much. It opened up energy in myself. I realized how much I was holding back. I realized how little faith I had in my own creative ability. And it put me on a trajectory and a path where I'm so passionate about this, that I want people to know who they are on a core level, so that you can finally have the life that you want, because you do deserve it. But you have to believe you do, and you have to have faith in yourself. So with that, I hope that resonates for you. Let me know if you have experienced this, right? Have you seen the difference between withholding energy with a lack of belief and faith in yourself versus going all in and believing in yourself? You will create what you believe about yourself and what you prepare for. So on a final note, let's do a little exercise about preparing for what you want. And let's make this, I'll make it simple. You can make it about what it really is for you, but for the metaphor, let's talk about what it looks like to prepare to win. Let's say you wanted a brand new wardrobe. You want this brand new wardrobe, and you're currently like, I have no idea how I would do it. I have a budget. It seems a little extravagant. I've never done this, for myself, but there's a part of you who is like, I want to express in a new way. So how would you prepare to get it? Well, the first thing you could do is go through all the clothes and truly edit out the ones that have holes in them or stained, that you're holding on to it because it's comfortable but doesn't really make you feel good. All of those should be edited out. Edit out everything that doesn't fit you. Donate it to somebody. Let it go, because it's a stagnant energy that's holding you back, right? Buy the kinds of hangers you'd want to hang these clothes on. Those velvety ones that are like, they make your closet so much more compact and they hold the clothes really well. Maybe something like that. Now, those are easy to get, right? That's the start. Making the space for it is sending signals to you on multiple levels. Your environment is reflecting back to you what you believe. And when you see that closet ready for a new wardrobe, you're signaling to yourself, I believe I'm going to get this. When you're making space for something, you are telling yourself this is coming, and you cannot help but create it. Because remember, what we experience in life, what we have in our life, it doesn't come to us like we think it does, because that's outside in thinking, that's external to internal thinking. What you have in life comes through you, not to you. So it's coming from the internal to the external. So create that space for what you want, and I guarantee you, if you keep expecting it, that means you're preparing for it and you're going to get it. Now let's do some karma cards. If you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers. One in red, which are action related, and one in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you intuitively tune in and feel, what do you need this week? Do you need to know what actions are most aligned? Or are you looking to know what outcomes are coming through this week? And of course, if you want both, you can always have both. And while you're intuitively choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for today, July 7th through July 14th. And the flavor of this reading, we have Jupiter, the happy planet, the good luck planet, planet of expansion. I always like seeing Jupiter in here. In the sign of Aries, Aries being about initiation, starting something, right? Brave action. In the 6th house, which deals with health and service to others. For those who are choosing red or action, your spiritual action at this time is to learn or teach your willpower as a full-time job. I swear to God, I never look at these cards before I talk to you about the message, but the messages always just line up. Your willpower is your creative force. It is what creates for you. As a full-time job, so they really want you to get, you're the creator. And I know I say this all the time, and you probably hear it, you probably believe it, but you got to take it in. This is where ownership and responsibility for everything you experience really is a power point. Because, like I said before, even if it's something that's failed, you're like, oh, that was the worst, but you own it, you now own power. And that power can then be used to create something you want. Mental action at this time. Be positive about what you think you know about serving. Sorry, I have to laugh because I'm an Aries and it says what you think you know. So Aries, right? We tend to jump in before we're prepared on things. I love that. But this is saying be positive about that. Hey, you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to actually know you know to make something powerful happen. So be positive about what you think you know about serving, the service to others, right? What you think it takes. A little bit of information can create, little beginnings create huge endings, right? So that's basically what this energy is telling you right here. Your physical action at this time, grow and expand, do it your own way, and do it a little at a time, right? So think about the closet metaphor I shared with you. That is a metaphor about growth and expansion. I want to change my wardrobe. I want to grow it into something that's what I want. Do it your own way. So again, you don't have to follow the steps I gave. That's just how my brain would tackle it. But go for it. Go for it. Whatever comes to you, go with that action. And do it a little at a time means, hey, you know what? I desire something new. I don't know how I'm going to get it. So you're probably not going to get it all in one day. But that doesn't matter. Every action you take that is in preparation for you getting it is called traction. Action, traction, right? We want traction. So every little step you take towards what you want is traction and draws it closer to you. All right, now let's look at outcomes. All right, for those who are choosing blue or outcome in Jupiter and Aries in the 6th house of health and service, your spiritual outcome the granting of energies to meet the challenge of service to others, right? So again, by taking small steps and getting traction, it's going to give you the energy you need to meet the bigger challenge. The bigger challenge would, in my closet metaphor, is how do I get this wardrobe? One piece at a time, right? Every little step gives you energy. Mental outcome, blessings from your desires regarding what is good for us. So when you're thinking about what you want, your desire, I would say 95% of the time, maybe more, is generally a positive thing for you, right? You want to live in a better home that's got a positive result for you. You want a healthier life. You want a loving relationship. You want to create more love in the world. Whatever it is, generally it's really positive. And that's good for you, right? So, and you remember too that you getting what you want. So we've been, in the old paradox, the old programming, we're always taught about you're selfish if you want things for yourself. If you're only concerned with your happiness, you're going to, others will suffer. And this is a lie. Unless what you desire creates harm in others, it actually very rarely could cause suffering. I can't even really think of a suffering that could be created by something good for you. Now, others may impose or project onto you that what you desire that's good for you makes them suffer. Don't fall for it. That's a projection. So it's tricky sometimes in that regard. But when you are good to you, when you take care of yourself, you fill up your own cup and therefore have more to give to others, right? It's a ripple effect. It has an effect on others. And when you withhold from yourself, deny yourself, shut yourself down, that also has a ripple effect to others. Your cup is empty. Others want from you. It feels draining. You get upset. Do you see how that goes, right? So by focusing on your desires and recognizing that you deserve what you want and going after it, you're actually creating a positive ripple effect of good for you ripples out to good for others. It's connected. Your physical outcome at this time, good fortune resulting from the honesty and strength of your work. I love that. Good fortune resulting from the honesty and strength of your work. Believe it or not, we tend to think about manifesting as a positive, right? It is a positive or fun or exciting, and these things are all true. It's also work. You also have to stay committed to yourself. You have to look, am I hedging my bets? Am I betting against myself? That willingness to look in and see what's operating. When I say something positive to myself, when I try to positively reinforce myself, do I actually believe it? What do I actually believe about myself? So, we have one level, which is the asking, and then we have the working level, which is the belief system and the energy expenditure and the preparation, either preparation for winning or preparation for losing, right? This is the work. So the honesty of your work is when you identify what you want, put it out there, and then you really look at yourself and you're like, do I even believe I can have this? Or do I believe I can have a loving relationship, a new one? Well, I'm older than a certain age, so the pickings are slim, and maybe someone won't want me because I'm older, or I've had a past experience, or whatever it is that we're telling ourselves. We got to look in there and see, do I actually support my own desire, or am I betting against myself? By doing that work, good fortune. You get what you want because you'll clean up the thoughts and you will move those chips over you'll take it off betting against yourself and go all in energy. I hope that this message inspires you. like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to have you here. If you want to join the New Moon Spirit Circle and get in cosmic alignment, I would love to have you join us too. But until next time, I'm sending you lots of love. You've got this, and you deserve the best life you can have. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.